Hello, this is Ruth Ann. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a very simple video, which is a repeat of one that I've done on several occasions where I have traveled. I've brought certain fragrances with me and I'm back from my trip. And I'm going to review the things that I brought with me because it's fresh in my mind and I've been using them a lot. And it's the best way, I think, to review a fragrance, one that you've worn a lot and you have a recent experience with. Not just a little sample you've rolled on your thumb a couple times, but you've really sprayed it on, worn it, and experienced it. So I have a different bag. This was a road trip kind of trip. It was not a flight. So those are usually the trips that I bring a bag with different fragrances in. If I fly, I tend to just use fragrance oils in roller balls like this, because it's just easier to bring several different fragrances, and that's just the way I do it. So I'm just going to get started with pulling one out of here at random. So, all right, so the first one is Judith Leiber Night. This is a very inexpensive, very affordable fragrance. I was informed about this on another YouTube video probably a couple of years ago. This is a woody amber patchouli fragrance, and of course it's called Night because it is considered a nighttime sexy fragrance, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of the original Dior Poison. So back in the late 80s, I had just come off a long stint of loving YSL's Opium, the original Opium, which is just a shadow of what, no, I'm sorry, the current Opium is a shadow of what the original Opium was. It was much stronger, very strong, oriental kind of spicy fragrance. This is kind of, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. Dior Poison is an updated, more modern oriental from YSL Opium, and that's why I liked the original Dior Poison so much. And I had a full bottle of it and went through it, but then it was so expensive I never bought another bottle. This reminds me a lot of that. All right, so again, it's a kind of a plummy, jammy, sweet, but in a fruity, sweet kind of way. Very saturated floral, but it's got a lot of woody notes and patchouli in there, which makes it great for night. It's extremely well blended. It's very long lasting. It's not very expensive. It's got this blingy kind of bottle. Don't let it, it's kind of tacky, but don't let that fool you. It's probably 50 to 60% like the original Dior Poison, which is no longer available as far as I know. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That scent was discontinued, and nowadays we've got other versions of Dior Poison, but not the original. The original is really the OG, and in my opinion, the best. So Judith Leiber Night. Next. All right, so this is Alyssa Ashley Musk. This is a very small size. I bought this fragrance with it came with a full-size bottle. I want to say it was like 4 ounces, a really large bottle. And this was just like in a Christmas box. You know how they do those gift sets. And this came with it. And I love it because it's travel size. Now, Alyssa Ashley Musk is a scent that goes back to the 70s. And back when in the 60s and 70s, the young people were rejecting the heavy floral Chanel No. 5 kind of fragrances, and they were going for something more earthy and more natural. And Alyssa Ashley Musk had come up with a unisex musk fragrance, and that's why, if you can see on the back of this bottle, if you can see it here, there is a male and female intertwined symbol, because this is considered and was developed to be a unisex fragrance. I would say that this really leans more feminine, but definitely a man could pull it off. It wouldn't be a stretch. but it's not anywhere near leaning masculine that I have trouble wearing it. Now, I don't prefer at all anything that leans masculine. I have a hard time wearing those fragrances. I don't want to smell like a man. I'm not a man. I enjoy being a female. So, and this one I've been wearing since the 80s. I remember buying my first bottle of this. I used to wear the body lotion. I still do, as a matter of fact. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a warm, sexy yellow musk. There are florals blended in there, but only to kind of flesh out the musk and make it more well-rounded. It is primarily just a warm, sexy musk. It wears close to the skin. But anyone that gets within a few inches of you will be able to smell it, especially your spouse or significant other will definitely know that this is your scent. It's very natural. It's very heady. It's very sexy. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's not at all soapy because some of these yellow musks can really lean soapy. This is not at all soapy. It's just really, really great. It's also very affordable. So I highly recommend in any form that you can find it to give this a try. I think anyone who absolutely loves fragrance should at least try this one time. And you can get small tester bottles of this fragrance for under $10 easily. Just go onto eBay and search for Alyssa Ashley Musk Tester, and you will find exactly what I'm talking about, and you'll be able to get it really inexpensive. So even if you don't like it, you won't be out much money, but this is something that's definitely worth trying. Highly recommend. All right, next. All right, this is the fragrance that I used the most while I was out of town. This is Lady Stetson. This goes back, I remember being a kid in the 70s and 80s and watching commercials for this fragrance on TV. And it was always women on horseback wearing cowboy hats, kind of a fragrance. Now, I would not classify this fragrance like that. To me, this is more of a Chanel No. 5 fragrance. It's a soapy white floral. And I have heard other people say that this is a dupe of Chanel No. 22. Now, Chanel No. 22, I personally have never tried. I've never smelled. And if it is a dupe of that, then it's absolutely fabulous and perfect. This is a slightly soapy, very heady white floral. And it's very much like Chanel No. 5, except for it's got a creaminess to it that is intoxicating. I wore this the most out of all the things I brought over that trip. This was my daytime fragrance. So you can see I used up over half the bottle. I probably had a dent like this when the trip started. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll use it up, but I ended up not using it up. It's great for traveling. This is the only size I've been able to find. And it's not super cheap, but it's also not super expensive. So I would say this bottle probably cost me around $30, maybe $35, which is more than I would like to spend for this size of a fragrance, especially one that's made by Coty. That would be considered a drugstore fragrance. But it is so beautiful and so classy. When I would spray this on, I just felt beautiful. And you know, as a fragrance lover, exactly what I'm talking about, right? When you smell something and you spray it on and you feel like, all right, this is me, this is it. It makes life better, brighter, happier. It makes everything fit. You put on the right outfit, you put on the makeup, you do your hair, you have something nice planned, you put on the fragrance that is the icing on the cake, and that is what this was for me on that trip. Okay, so I highly recommend it. Lady Stetson, you can pick it up at any Walmart. I've seen it myself at Walmart, but if you want to get it cheaper, I recommend going to a trusted seller on eBay. All you have to do is search Lady Stetson And when it comes up, search for the best price. And then if it says trusted seller, I have never in my years of buying on eBay been cheated or wronged by a bestseller or a trusted seller. And that means that they have sold so many hundreds of products, they have a really good rating, and they've never been charged with fraud. So anyway, that's Chanel No. 5 with a creaminess to it, probably sandalwood. Absolutely gorgeous. If you told me this was the only fragrance I could wear the rest of my life, I'd be okay with that. That's how much I liked it. All right, and then I have one more. And this one is Arpege by Lanvin. You can see it's a picture of a woman leaning over a little girl. And it goes back to 1927, I believe, when the current owner at that time of Lanvin was coming up with a new fragrance. And it was to challenge Chanel No. 5 when that type of aldehydic white floral was popular. And the daughter was studying music. You know, forgive me if I get this story, I don't have it absolutely right, but as far as I can remember, she was studying music and she asked her daughter, the owner of Lanvin, asked her daughter, what should we call it? And she said arpege, which is a musical term for, I think it means fast, like arpeggio. I kind of remember that when I was in music back in the day. Anyway, this is a aldehydic white floral, absolutely beautiful. In fact, I think I like this better than Chanel No. 5. And if you have followed me on this channel, you know how much I love Chanel No. 5. I have a love for that fragrance that won't quit. Chanel No. 5 is a very soapy white floral. This is not so soapy. This is more of a, powdery white floral. There are aldehydes in this, but the aldehydes are not the harsh ones that really burn your nose or fizzy in the nose. The aldehydes are described as fizzy. They're described as like champagne-like, bubbly-like. In all honesty, if you spray a aldehydic fragrance near your nose, it will actually burn a little bit when you smell it. This does not have that quality. At least that's not how I've experienced it. This is a little bit more drowned. It's a little bit more toned down type of an aldehyde. It's kind of like, imagine a blueberry plummy aldehydic white floral that really focuses a lot on old school white florals, the old-fashioned kind. And even though it is a 1920s formulation, I'm sure I don't know what it was like back then compared to now. This is a current formulation. I bought this bottle a couple of years ago, and it's very reasonably priced. Now, I know they've come out with Arpege, Eclat, and all these other flankers of the original Arpege. I have not even tried those because I love this one so much. And I'm going to repeat what I said with Lady Stetson, is if you told me you can only wear one fragrance the rest of your life and it's going to be Arpege, I would smile and I would be okay with it, and I would be happy. I could live with it. This is a fragrance that will leave a beautiful powdery scent trail behind you. It will stick to your sheets. It will stick to your clothing. If you put it on while you're wearing a sweater and then a week later you put that sweater back on, you will still smell it, but it will never be overwhelming. As much as you ever sprayed this on yourself, it would never overwhelm you. It, however, is not safe for perfume-free zones. It definitely projects, but it doesn't offend. It's extremely ladylike. This is like the definition of ladylike. The only one I would say that comes close to it would be L'Heure Bleue by Guerlain. This is another one that almost no matter how much you spray it, if you were to take Arpege and add vanilla and a lot of sandalwood, you would get L'Heure Bleue. Okay, So these came out in very similar time frames. I believe Le Bleu came out in the 30s, where Arpege was in the 20s. But they're very ladylike, very beautiful, very powdery, very feminine, very hard to offend anyone wearing them. And I could be extremely happy wearing this the rest of my life, especially given the fact that it's so affordable. And the bottle looks black, but I think it's actually like a deep purple. It's just classy and gorgeous, and I'm not sure why it's not as more popular than it is. If Xerjoff, or I don't know, name your niche perfume house, put this in a bottle, sold it for $300, people would be raving about it. You'd see it all over YouTube. But because it's 20s, it's something your great grandmother wore, we're going to ignore it and pretend like it's no good. And that's disrespectful, and it's not right. This is actually extremely gorgeous. If you like white florals, if you like powdery aldehydes, you've got to get your nose on this. And I suggest more than just testing it, but actually wearing it, because testing it alone doesn't really give justice to Arpege. Giving it a good, thorough wear, and then even coming back to it the next day and try it a third day. And every day it's a little different. It'll show you a different side of itself. And it's just one of those that I don't ever want to live without. So, all right, so that's it for the only other thing I have in here looks like an old pair of earrings. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.